For Jessica, to remind you of London. With love, Michael. September of 1963. Who'd have thought that I'd be painting in this however many years later? I love sketchbooks so much. And I can't remember what YouTuber it was, but I mean, I'm constantly watching sketchbook tours. And I was seeing something about, they were talking about a semester in college. One of their professors told them to get a book, like buy a used book and use that as their sketchbook for the semester. And it just blew my mind because I'm constantly at war with myself about, being too precious with your supplies. And I think we all are. But especially when I started oil painting in a sketchbook, I was thinking, oh, this way I won't be so precious with my canvas. And then you do the oil painting in sketchbooks long enough, years, and then you realize you start to become precious with that, so it just kind of transfers. And then I think it's just finding an excuse on not to do it because it's practice. That's really what it is. I mean, you can do finished pieces, of course. I've done it. I've seen other people do it. But it's just, I think it's meant for practice and it's meant for experimenting and all of that. But yeah, I, like everyone else, I look for an excuse to be precious with my materials so I don't have to use them. And this YouTuber, and again, I can't remember the name. If I come across them, I'll try to make an edit. But they had talked about, the professor assigned them to go buy a used book and use that for their sketchbook for the semester. And so I went to the used bookstore, and it was a total of $8 for these kind of bigger, older books. Not like really old, but they were older. It's not glossy paper. It's kind of like a thick, papery paper, if that makes sense. And I primed the pages, and that's, I did some testing with it, and it holds up. It holds up just like a mixed media sketchbook would. This is one of them right here. Early keyboard instruments by Philip James of Holland Press. It's a thick boy. One of them's on plays and one of them's on like British paintings or something like that. And yeah, so I primed the pages of them, and that's what I paint in. Well, it's not all I paint in, but that it was my way of trying not to be so precious with them that, I find an excuse not to paint. They don't make sketchbooks that look like this. And if they did, or if they do, they're probably like $80, and no one's going to want to slap oil paint around inside of that. Or you could get them custom made, but go support a local bookstore and, get yourself a sketchbook. I think it's kind of neat. I mean, I know some people are like, oh, what do you do about the words underneath? I mean, you can still see some of the words if it's just plain white gesso. I primed it because that's what I do with the other ones, but it might be kind of neat to not prime it, or you can use clear gesso because, again, it's just a practice tool. It's not meant to be anything other than that. And if it turns into something other than that, great. But I think the goal here is to be less precious with materials, use them, because I can't take them with me when I die, and I don't want them going to an estate sale. So I have to use all of them up before I die. That's the goal. for a while there, I was using it in the morning. I would get up early before work, and I would set a timer for an hour, and I would just, for better or worse, finished or not, I would go downstairs and I would set my timer, and I would just go to work for an hour, and I wouldn't really work on something older. I would work on something new, and I would see how far I could get with the piece, and that was kind of like my practice for the day, kind of a warm up for my hands, my brain. And then, after work, because I'm obsessed, I would go down there and I would not paint in the sketchbook because it would be drying, or I wouldn't feel like it, and I would work on canvas or something like that. So I think it's a really neat exercising tool. And I'm hoping, especially with this channel, to get more adventurous with it. I will maybe do more progress videos in the sketchbook, and then or maybe I'll keep it a secret, or keep one of the other ones a secret, and show it off when it's finished. Do like a whole sketchbook tour. But I encourage you to go to the bookstore, get yourself a used book, reduce, reuse, recycle, and make yourself a sketchbook from scratch, or whatever. This isn't scratch. But make yourself a sketchbook. Get out there and paint. Stop putting it off. Don't be precious with your materials. I'll see you in the next one.